Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Hello and welcome to Focus on Health. I'm your host, Peggy Mello. Today's guests are Dr. Michael Martinelli, Chief of Cardiology at St. Peter's Hospital, and Ashley Edwards, Corporate Events Director at the American Heart Association. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Dr. Martinelli, do you want to talk a little bit about your background?
Sure. I'm a cardiologist, and I've been in practice here for about 14 years with Albany Associates in Cardiology, which is a part of Prime Care Physicians. I'm board certified in internal medicine, in cardiology, and in interventional cardiology.
Excellent. And you must be kept very busy at St. Peter's Hospital as the head of cardiology. Okay. All right, so today we're talking about walking and what benefits it does for us, for our health. And it does a lot, so we have a lot to cover in 30 minutes. Now, what kind of effect can walking have on our health?
Well, walking and American Heart Association's recommendation is 30 minutes a day, as little as 30 minutes of brisk walking a day. And that can be done in 15-minute and 15-minute blocks, but we want everyone to get out for 30 minutes a day and do brisk walking. It'll help to lower cholesterol, help to lower blood pressure, or raise good cholesterol perhaps, but lower blood pressure, reduce risk for stroke. So it's an easy activity to do. It doesn't cost a lot to invest in,
Right.
and I'm sure that Dr. Martinelli, it would be one of those activities that you probably have as part of your prescription for better health with your patients as well.
Often we'll start by telling a patient to walk, because walking, the important thing about walking is that most people can do it, and you don't need a lot of expensive equipment. And it's very important, as Ashley said, that it's a brisk walk. And the more that we know and the more that we see in the literature, a brisk walk, even in patients without heart disease or stroke, have significant long-term benefits. There have been many studies done over the last few years that have demonstrated that even up to 1.5 miles a day of brisk walking reduces the risk of cardiovascular disease, which is heart attack and stroke, by significant numbers, up to 30 to 40%.
And I just read on the American Heart Association website that each hour of physical activity can actually extend your life expectancy by 2 hours.
Yep, that's one of the great nuggets of information that we're promoting through the START initiative is a 2-for-1 benefit, gaining 2 hours of life expectancy for every 1 hour of regular exercise. And it's not a cumulative effect. We like to reiterate that if you're an athlete in college, it doesn't necessarily parlay down the road. It needs to be consistent and regular, but you can start it at any time and expect to receive that type of life expectancy benefit.
Now, we hear all stories about January, everybody joins the gym and they go for a few weeks and then they never come back. But according to your website, walking has the lowest dropout statistics.
That's
I think
right.
That's pretty impressive.
Yep, and that's why we've chosen walking as a centerpiece for the START initiative, because it is, it's inexpensive, but also lowest dropout rate. Once you get going and you do start to feel better, you do start to feel the benefits, and it's not something where you have to get in your car and go somewhere. It's not something that you have to, again, have special equipment for, or you can go out your door and start walking. It doesn't require an appointment. Doesn't require, unless you make an appointment with yourself, which is a very effective way to keep that time in your schedule, because it is so important. But we often find many excuses not to do it. So,
And I'm lucky enough to have a 1 hour lunch break, so I can walk half an hour, and it's really not going to cut into my lunch at all. And I have to say that when I come back from my lunch, it just seems like, well, I'm sure there's a few endorphins running around in me. It just seems like the rest of the afternoon I'm on such an even keel. I'm calm.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it affects me and how I deal with my job as well.
Well, I think it gives you an opportunity to clear your head, and maybe even
Absolutely.
do a little processing about what you have done or what you need to do going into the afternoon. So it actually gives you a little planning time all to yourself, without the phone ringing or an email response or something of that nature. So and if you have an hour at lunch, it's a perfect time to get that in, because what are you going to be doing otherwise? So it's a great opportunity to set yourself up for a productive rest of the day. Which we know that productivity is a direct link with people being more physically active. That lull that you hear in the afternoons where you're, I think
I can almost time it.
yeah, you know when it's coming.
3:15.
Typically, right around that time seems to
Yeah.
be for, people with a 9 to 5 schedule that, they definitely hit an afternoon lull. So hopefully a walk in the middle of the day would break that up and get the endorphins up and get you ready to take on the last half of the day.
Now, I mean, we've heard a lot about healthcare costs and how much corporations are spending to just insure their employees, and it's staggering numbers. And there are some numbers, some facts that you talk about on your website about corporate health costs and how a walking program can help those. Do you
Yep.
want to talk about that?
Yeah, fitness programs, be it whatever they are, we have a walking program that is available, but fitness programs have helped to reduce employer health care costs anywhere from 20 to 55%.
Now, that's quite amazing, 55%.
55%. I'm not sure which particular company that was, but that's a very aggressive and very drastic number. But companies definitely are seeing the benefits to having a regular fitness activity and fitness program be part of the workplace and the work
So
site.
does it mean they're catching less colds, or what exactly does it translate to?
I think in the end, showing a more fit workforce is certainly going to help with those healthcare costs in terms of premiums and all those things when they're set on an annual basis with the healthcare company or the healthcare company. But one of the things that it's doing is individuals are saving money as well, because if you're engaged in regular physical activity, there is probably going to be one less visit to the doctor in your schedule, or you start to feel better overall. Maybe it's one less visit. Maybe it's actually being able to come off of a medication that you were on because you've altered your physical activity and diet, and you've made some changes that are enabling you to do those type of things. Companies also see a decrease in absenteeism when they have a more fit work population.
Right.
It's also a way in which people understand about the other risks. A walking program, if you have a certain number of people interested in walking, that means they're interested in their health overall. So the walking becomes a cornerstone of lifestyle modification and change. And that does directly translate into decreased healthcare costs down the line. If you're interested in walking, you're going to then diet and watch what you take in. You're going to reduce your risk of obesity, which leads directly to the risk of high blood pressure, diabetes,
Yes.
and death from heart disease and stroke. So the direct result of a walking program at work is attention to all the other things as well, including the cardiovascular effects of walking itself, which we've discussed earlier, can demonstrate dramatic reductions in death and cardiovascular morbidity, meaning illness from cardiac disease and stroke.
And I think that to also talk to the mental effect, I think it also really improves you mentally as well.
Well, all those
I
things
would say that the depression kind of goes out the window.
It's got great side effects. Doing a regular exercise, the side effects of regular exercise are a whole different outlook. And that outlook also adds to your desire to modify all the other potential cardiac risks down the line. So you have a whole new view on taking care of yourself as it pertains to your long-term risk. And that if it doesn't directly now have a huge impact on cost, it'll have a dramatic impact on the cost of healthcare in the future.
Right. Now, one of the things it says on your START website is the estimated annual direct cost of illnesses related to physical inactivity is $76.6 billion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Unbelievable.
it's a staggering number. It's a staggering number, and we're starting to see and more with the companies that we work with on a regular basis throughout the capital region and beyond are that there's been more wellness committees formed, more HR departments are taking a harder look at their employees' overall health and overall fitness, because in the end it relates to their bottom line. It relates to the company's bottom line. In fact, CEOs are more regularly now citing healthcare cost as one of the top cost pressures within their business. So they're definitely looking at ways to reduce their operating expense through taking a look at their number one asset, really, the people that work there.
And I read that Starbucks pays more for insuring their employees for health insurance than they do the actual salaries.
That's right, for the actual raw material to brew their coffee. So the
Oh,
product
okay.
that they produce, the coffee, they're paying more money in healthcare costs this year than they are for the material to produce to sell the coffee.
Now, I also think that we work too much. I like the European kind of approach to working where you get months off and you get a couple hours during the day to relax,
As long as
That
you're
would
not-
really be great.
As long as you're not eating cheese, drinking
Right.
wine, and smoking while you're off.
Right, exactly.
And I think that that's an important thing to keep in mind when we talk about healthcare costs. You're not going to have the employee who's walking every day thinking about picking up a cigarette. And
Hopefully not.
the number one cause of death, illness, cause of death and illness in the United States is tobacco,
Tobacco.
closely followed by poor diet and inactivity, which is number two. But they're both very closely interrelated, and again, people who are focused on exercising at work, hopefully, although there are exceptions, will be also focused on the other things. And smoking cessation will have a direct impact on loss of work and hospitalizations earlier on, because it's a very common and expensive cause for work outage.
Yep, and it's a fact. We work more than we did 20 years, even 20 years ago. We're on average work about 47 hours a week across, as Americans, and
Unless you're a cardiologist.
yeah, it's
Then it's a little bit
then
more.
it's a little bit more, a lot more, but it's 164 more hours per person than we did just 20 years ago. So we're working more. We're spending more time in the workplace and at the workplace. So what we're hoping is that people are going to be able to find some of that time, and companies are actually going to be able to dedicate some of that time to staying fit.
And we're working more, and we're working more at jobs that aren't physical. So there's a lot of sedentary,
Oh, yes.
there's a lot of inactivity in our jobs. And technology has also made our physical leisure activity less physical. We're not pushing the lawnmower anymore, we're jumping on the rider. So with more hours at work and more technology, we're not getting that kind of built-in exercise that our fathers and grandmothers used to get. So there's even more incentive to incorporate something into the work day.
And I've heard stories about the benefits of a standing workplace. Actually, having a workstation that's standing as opposed to sitting, and how much weight a person can lose just having to stand while they're working as opposed to sit.
I've heard some radical thoughts about companies, and I'm not sure the size of this company, but they actually have one day a week where they don't allow inter-office email, forcing people to get up and go over and talk to the person that they wanted to communicate with. So they don't allow them to call inter-office and email inter-office. It has to be a face-to-face where you physically get up from your desk and walk down the hall to the person that you wanted to speak to.
Wow.
So that, along with the other one that I really like is the worst parking spot.
Oh, yeah.
So taken directly from a company in San Diego that piloted the START program. They now award their Employee of the Month with the parking spot that is the furthest away in their lot, letting them know that they care about them.
I just think it's so funny when I pass by like a Gold's Gym parking lot and all of the cars are parked as close as they can be to the building. So, well, wait a minute, aren't they there to exercise?
It's a flipping in
be
our
far
thinking,
away.
right? It's just something we need to flip around and think the other way. Take the worst parking spot. Take the one that's the furthest away. Get that many more steps in your day.
Mm-hmm. Ashley, do you want to talk about the START program? You've mentioned it a few times during this interview.
Yep, and we've talked about START. We've hinted at it, and START really it's an overall cause initiative that the Heart Association launched January 8th of this year, and it has a few different major components, one of which we've talked about is a 4-week walking program, which is available to companies at no charge. It's set up to be 4 weeks, and for companies to form teams of walkers, which is nice because we talk about getting out and walking by yourself, but there's also the opportunity to encourage some social interaction or some group interaction with the walking activities, and also provides a little incentive as far as a prompt for maybe a teammate to say, hey, did you walk today? Or, our numbers are looking okay, but they could be better, that type of thing.
Right.
So there's a 4-week walking program, and it comes in a box, it comes in a kit, it's really easy to utilize. We have a fit-friendly company recognition. The Heart Association is awarding designations to companies as being fit-friendly. And our next round of applications is coming up for July 23rd. And what we are asking is companies to take a look at themselves through the application process and how do they measure up and what things are they doing in the area of physical activity at the work site, what are they doing about nutrition at the work site, and also their corporate culture. And that goes back to the idea of maybe a walking meeting or something of that nature.
So any size company can apply for this? Do
20,
they have to have a
25
certain number?
employees or more.
Oh, okay.
25 employees or more are eligible to apply. And we actually just awarded 6 companies in the Capital Region with our first round of designations. And then they're able to utilize a seal, if you will. It's almost like a logo that has a Heart Association on it that they're able to utilize in internal communications to their employees, as well as any recruiting opportunities outside the employment.
Interesting. Now I see that some of the companies you have already signed up, Farm Family Insurance, Homestead Funding, New York Independent System Operators, Phoenix, Albany, and you have St. Mary's Hospital, Amsterdam as well.
These are all companies that applied in that first round of applications back in January, and they received the designation. And we have, right now, a number I refer to as a slew. We have a bunch of applications ready and waiting for the July 23rd deadline. So it's a very easy process to go through, and it's also a great, the application is good because it gives some companies some confidence about things and pats on the back about things that they are doing.
Right.
But it's also taken from best practices at companies across the country. So there's also some ideas in there that something that a company might not be doing that they may say, well, we're not doing this, but it'd be easy to implement, so let's do this. So there's a couple of reasons for looking at the application, not just with the intention to apply, although we hope all will. There's also an online tool called My Start Online. My Start is it's a place that individuals can register at the AmericanHeart.org/start website, but they can register as individuals, and then it's a tracking tool for them to be able to input their daily activity along with their daily intake of nutrition, and it will give them some balance and some idea about what they might want to do a little more of or a little less of, because walking is great and physical activity is great, but you've got to have that complement of the whole wellness, and certainly with what you're taking in being a major factor as well. And it also will provide them a monthly newsletter and some access to recipes, things like that. Again, it's no charge just to sign on. And the last component of START is the Heart Walk, which comes up in October.
That is such an exciting event for it to come.
It's
and I know that the town of Colonie is involved with that.
Very involved, and I've always perennially been one of our top teams for involvement. So we're very excited. The Heart Walk is our largest community fundraiser in the capital region, and it's a way that we generate the dollars we need for research to find the next breakthrough and find address the issues that are making a difference in cardiovascular disease.
And this year it is October 13th.
It is October 13th.
Excellent. That's great. Well, thanks for talking about that program.
Thank you.
We also want to talk about health benefits as well of walking. Do you want to talk about the Honolulu study?
Sure, there have been lots of studies that demonstrate the health benefits of walking. There was a study in '99 called the Honolulu Heart Study, which looked at elderly men over the age of 75 and showed that 1.5 miles of brisk walking reduced their risk of cardiovascular death by up to 30%. When they did a meta-analysis, the British did a meta-analysis of all the studies in 2003. A meta-analysis looks at all the major studies, and they concluded that brisk exercise in that range, 1.5 miles a day, did in fact improve or diminish death from cardiovascular causes by about 40%. So
That's incredible.
again, this may include a highly motivated population, so it probably has variables that are related to but independent from walking, such as dietary attention, smoking cessation, cholesterol treatment. But some of those studies looked at people who just exercised and then people who just did the diet, the cholesterol lowering, and it showed that the exercise people did do well and were comparable. So even though there are some variables that are difficult to control for in some of these studies, overall your risk of having a cardiovascular event is markedly reduced in those who walk.
Wow, that's great. Now, what are some of the risk factors that perhaps this could help with?
Well, one major risk factor for the development of cardiovascular disease is what we here call the metabolic syndrome. The metabolic syndrome, we actually probably see more often than we recognize, is basically obesity, which is described as abdominal obesity. Men with a waist over 40 and women with waist over 35 inches. They call that population abdominal obesity. High triglycerides, borderline to elevated blood sugar, low good cholesterol. And those things, most of those issues can be controlled by diet and exercise. So whereas in medicine, there are certainly things that are beyond our control that arise. In cardiovascular medicine, there actually are a lot of things that are within our control. And the metabolic syndrome is a perfect example of an issue, of a problem that we can actually modify and control, and therefore directly reduce our risk of cardiovascular disease, meaning heart attack and stroke or incapacitation from either one of those. And certainly exercise, again, I'll say it again because I think it's very important, it is a cornerstone for the treatment of that particular process. Those who are motivated to exercise are motivated to diet, they're motivated to stop smoking. So all those things combined will definitely reduce your risk of long-term issues.
Do you think that, in general, cardiologists push that message to their patients enough, or do you think that they could do it more?
Well, I think we all push that message, and I think you have to individualize it to the patient, of course, but I think it can't be overstated. You have to continue to really, I don't want to call it badgering, but you have to continue to remind your patients the importance of risk factor modification, smoking cessation, exercise, diet. They're all controllable risk factors.
Now, you also mentioned to me before the taping the Mediterranean diet. I know that we have some books in the library about it, but do you want to discuss that?
Well, I mean, it's a diet that enables you to eat normal, what we can call normal food, and it's more of a program. And actually, we have this program through our nutrition department in our office, based on it's called the NutriFit program, which is a fitness exercise diet program based on the Mediterranean diet. And I think that, again, it takes all of the issues that we discussed and puts them in a package so that not only are the patients learning about their diet and the importance of the right foods and the wrong foods and the quantity of foods, but they're also being instructed that diet alone isn't going to do it. But if you combine diet and exercise, you can go a long way to preventing your short-term and your long-term risks.
Dr. Martinelli, I know you've talked about a few health benefits. What else can you mention for us?
Well, it reduces, exercise reduces your risk of, it helps women with regard to reduction in osteoporosis, which is a nice side effect, non-cardiovascular side effect of exercise. Okay. It may help, again, it'll help you to lose weight, thereby reducing your risk of sleep apnea and other types of illnesses that are peripherally related to cardiovascular disease but not specific to cardiovascular disease. So there are a lot of other benefits from exercise. You've already mentioned the psychological aspect, which is a very important one, because as you feel better about yourself and better about the fact that you're improving your exercise and improving your long-term health, you're going to do it more. So the psychological benefit takes on a life of its own. You continue to do more and more and more, which is ultimately more beneficial. To get back to our discussion on the type and level of exercise, the more exercise you do, the lower your risk. So if you're walking 1.5 miles a day and doing well doing that, then you probably should be doing 3 miles a day. And you're going to want to as you improve. And we know that those patients who do more vigorous exercise for longer periods of time have more reduction. The reduction is related to the level of exercise and the duration of exercise.
Now, I know that you were talking about you actually run, right? I mean, let's just talk about how we feel afterwards. I mean, I know that even if I'm only walking a few miles, I just feel like no matter what comes my way, I can just deal with it and be calm about it.
And that's important. That's what gets you to do it again. When I recommend exercise to patients, I often say, do something you like. Because if you don't like it and it doesn't make you feel good when you're done doing it, you're not going to do it. So, and that's why I think walking is such a good start, because walking is something that, again, most of us can do.
Right.
Most of us feel well when we're done doing it, and most of us want to go do it tomorrow. So if you want to go do it tomorrow, you're going to increase your duration and your level of activity, and that's all exponentially beneficial.
And I think it's all a matter of personal taste. You know, some people like silence when they exercise. Some people like fast music. You know, and you pick your music. You pick whatever you want to listen to. I actually listen to books on CD. I just listen to books, and to be honest, you know, if it's a really good book, I just want to keep walking around until I'm done. Until I'm at a point where I can actually stop, which means I want to keep walking.
Well, that's how we sell the exercise. You know, you can do two things you like to do. Like, that's a great example. You walk and you listen to books, and you're going to you might end up walking another mile because you want to hear the last chapter. So there are plenty of ways to motivate yourself to do something you like. If it's something you don't like and it's drudgery, you might do it for a couple weeks or a couple months, but you're not going to do it every day, and it's not going to last long. I think your program is excellent. Your personal program.
Oh, thank you. I follow the rule that I've heard, which is pretend you are 10 minutes late for an appointment when you're walking. You're not just kind of moping around. You know, you're pretending, oh, I have an appointment with Dr. Martinelli. I got to move it. So, you know, it works. It really does work. And that makes it, pretending I'm 10 minutes late makes it easier for me to walk fast, because I'm not listening to anything fast.
Right.
That makes me go. Now, being that I'm a librarian, working in a library, I know that our town residents have access to all of the stuff that we have in the library, which is music CDs, which is books on CD, books on cassette, We have a downloadable audiobooks program that they can download books to an MP3 player free of charge. And free is always good. No late fees on the downloadable audiobooks, which is great. Anything else we missed you want to touch on? Just benefits of exercise? Let's just do a wrap-up. Local corporations, companies, 25 employees or more can register for the START program.
Right. They can go online to americaheart.org/start, and they could find the information that way, or certainly could just contact us at our local office. We're on New Carner Road, and we'd be glad to meet with anyone to discuss more about it and show them what the, it's to show them the walking program, to explain the fit-friendly application, and some more about our website, where there's lots and lots and lots of information.
AmericanHeart.org.
Yes.
Okay, and the Heart Walk is taking place October
13th.
And you are the director of the Heart Walk.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you're going to make sure everything...
Make sure that we get our 3,000 to hopefully 4,000 people out and walking. We're hoping that a lot of the companies that are participating are going to use it as a day of celebration to kind of cap off some of the activities that they've been doing and come together and celebrate their wellness activities.
And hopefully Mother Nature can cooperate.
That's right. That's always a plus. It doesn't keep people from coming, and it goes rain or shine, but it's always a plus when it's a beautiful day.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you very much for coming, both of you. I know you took time out of your very busy schedules.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for watching. We hope to see you next time on Focus on Health.